Holla ballers, what's going on? It's Preacher, and it is happening. We are getting the classic servers. Now, I dodged this war because, frankly, I didn't have a dog in the race. I didn't care either way. People love vanilla. What's wrong with that? Some people hated people loving vanilla. I don't know why. But there you go. That's what people are like that, aren't they? However, I felt a lot of it, especially when it came from our content creators, and I'm not pushing this on anybody, but it felt like we were adding fuel to the fire because people were so passionate about it. So passionate about it that getting involved was just spurring it on and just throwing more and more fuel on the fire. And it felt to me like it was for views and for that swag cash. It felt that way. And as somebody who didn't really care that much, I don't care about people playing private servers. On Drama Time, we read about it a hell of a lot. In fact, I felt guilty at the time that we had drawn a lot of attention to it due to the fact that Drama Time circles around a lot of people in the WoW community, which was making them more aware of these private servers. Perhaps, I mean, I did a lot of videos on Nostalrius, so a lot of the people who were sending in drama stories were from Nostalrius, and did we have some involvement in that? So there was definitely some guilt there. I'm not saying we did, but it definitely felt like that, and I personally don't care. If you loved old WoW, why have I got a problem with that? You can't afford to play WoW? What the fuck would I care that you want to play a private server? You know, that was my attitude with it anyway. It doesn't bother me. But now it's happening, and my concern with the system is this. It was this line.
We want to reproduce the game experience that we all enjoyed from the original classic WoW.
What does that mean? What does that mean? And my only worry when it came to the private servers is that it's a can of worms. And what I've been doing is I was looking at MMO Champion today, and they've put up a forum that's for the classic servers. And it's already starting, is what people really want is different. It's different across the board about what people really want. So you've got people who want the classic WoW. I just want classic WoW. I loved classic WoW. I love everything about it. Just give me classic WoW. Like, basically as the last patch, I think would be ideal. Because people clearly don't want server lag to the point where the Griffins couldn't leave Stormwind. They just sat there and your character was stuck for ages, and all sorts of crazy bugs that happen in an old game. It's 12 years old. A really old game that had no real idea it was ever going to be that big, that was bombarded by so many people, and errors were found everywhere. That's the way it was. And we loved it. I loved vanilla. I wouldn't be here 12 years later if vanilla didn't grab me by the nuts and hold tight. Of course. So we have to accept some truth, and this is why I'm shooting the video this way. I want to talk to you properly. Is that vanilla has a lot of faults that I don't think a lot of the player base are going to be really ready to accept, and that's the problem. If you played vanilla and you go back to classic WoW, you know what you're getting into, right? And that's fine. You know what you're getting into. If I joined a private server right now for classic WoW, I know what I'm getting involved with because I lived through it already. I'm fully prepared for all the issues and the clear imbalances and the massive problems and the difficulty spikes, certainly in the more casual side of the game, than somebody who's like, I want to try classic WoW, I never played it. Now, there's a whole spectrum of people there. There's a huge spectrum of people. There's everybody who knows what they're getting into, all the way to the guys who are going to log in one day, not even be aware this thing exists, and see that classic WoW is now an option on the server. This is going to cause some problems that I'm not sure Blizzard is completely clear on what the best solution is for everybody. And no matter what they do here, it's going to piss some people off badly. And this is the worry. It's going to backfire in some respect. Some part of the community is going to be unhappy. There's going to be the guys who want original classic, and maybe they'll do that because we don't really know what they're going to do. In fact, from the announcement on stage, they're not really sure what they're going to do because they're no doubt having this problem that I'm explaining to you now is what exactly do we give them that is classic WoW? And you're either going to go, just classic WoW. What's so hard about that? Well, classic WoW has a lot of problems that certainly players who started after classic have never even considered could be a problem before. Certainly in the specs. You've got people who never really knew that elemental shamans weren't a thing. Right? And you could get away with enhancement in some scenarios, but you know what I'm saying. If you played vanilla, 2 out of 3 specs generally were dead for the most part, right? 2 out of 3 specs were completely dead for the most part. There's a lot of players who've never, ever played WoW where that has ever been the case. And they're going to log into this classic server and go, oh man, I'm going to play the classic Ellie Shaman, or I'm going to play the classic Dis Priest, or I'm going to play the classic Moonkin. And then they're just going to go, what? What is this? Why am I out of mana after like 7 spells? Why is the boss at 90% and I'm totally dry? Why is that? I mean, these are issues that didn't really get fixed until TBC. I have footage of our Elemental Shaman in a TBC raid being so out of mana he couldn't drop his totem, which is the only reason he was there, for that totem. And these guys aren't going to be able to accept that, and they're going to complain heavily. Now, you might respond to that saying, well, that's the way it was. And you would be right. But do you think that's going to be a quiet argument? Do you think that argument is ever going to be put to rest? Or are people going to be expecting Blizzard to deal with it? Are they going to expect them to buff them and to make them viable? But then it's no longer classic, right? Then it's no longer classic. You didn't see these specs in Naxxramas. You didn't see these things going on in AQ40. We're also going to run into the... And I've known, and you're going to... I know, look, purists, and I think purist is the correct term here. I'm with you. If you asked for I'm with you. I just want to say this very clearly and very openly. I'm with you. If you want a classic server, that's what the community has been crying out for, seemingly, then it should just be the classic server. And you shouldn't really be expecting Blizzard to do much else with it other than maintain it and also guarantee your characters aren't going to be lost because someone's trying to bamboozle the PayPal account, right? That's what you don't want. You want it to be there for you to use, and I will certainly enjoy it myself. It's a perfect getaway for me, in my opinion, from when things get quiet and well. Like right now, it's quiet, so we can go and play some vanilla and do some vanilla raids. I think that's okay. I'm generally overwhelmingly happy that this is happening for the guys who did so much to make this happen. I'm really worried about what they're going to deliver you, and I think they're going to change it. I don't think it's going to be classic WoW. I don't think so, because there are far too many people out there who will take a look at it and go, what is this shit? And that's what they're going to think. If you come from a Wrath era, anything Wrath and beyond, right? And you look at vanilla and you never played it and you haven't been on a private server, so you expected problems and you expected things to be weird, then there's going to be a big outcry, because whether you like it or not, the vast majority of the WoW player base doesn't check forums. They don't do research, right? We could just look at how many people know how to play their class to know they don't do that. They don't do that. The huge majority of people aren't watching this video. Whether you believe that or not, trust me, I've done this for a long time. They don't. They don't. A huge proportion of the player base is vastly uninformed. People are genuinely shocked when a patch arrives. They don't know. Like, you'll see people when the new expansion launches, when Battle for Azeroth launches, be totally unaware until they found out in general chat that the patch is tomorrow. They'll be like, what? It happens every time. And you'll be like, how could you not know that Legion finishes tomorrow? How can you not be aware of that? And you'll see these guys be like, well, how would I know? I'm not a nerd. I don't check MMO Champion or something like that. And I don't play with people who talk about these things. It happens every single time. I've seen it countless times. I'm not trying to even spur a conversation here. I'm just sort of expressing my thoughts on this, that I am happy that it's happening. I don't know what's going to happen, though, really. Is it going to be original classic, in which case that'll make quite a lot of people happy who just want the original classic experience. But what we can clearly see already, and you can do it yourself. Go to the classic WoW general forums on MMO Champ, and you'll see polls, and you'll see lists of people saying, do you think they should change it a bit? Can we have a few things? People are going to want LFD. People aren't going to want to fly to Diamol. And you'll go, well, I had no issue going to Diamol. Yeah, no, you didn't. I didn't either, really. I love Diamol. I love doing tribute runs. I love doing all that stuff. But now people are used to a game where that doesn't happen. And in fact, it doesn't happen in many games at all anymore. And for kind of a good reason. It's people's playtime you're eating up with just flying across the world. And you'll say, and from your perspective, I'm sure that's the RPG experience, right? And you're kind of right. But it's paved the way for a lot of convenience. And I know that's why a lot of you want Classic back. You don't want that convenience. But when this server comes out, it's going to be tested by a hell of a lot of people. And they're going to be like, well, this is crap. Now, you might be okay with that. And maybe that's what Blizzard's banking on, is that, sure, a lot of people are going to try it and they're not going to like it because it's nothing like the current game. It hasn't got all the conveniences, all the mod cons, and those guys will piss off. And what we're going to be left with is the guys who are just happy to be playing vanilla. I think that would be the ideal scenario. I think that would be the ideal scenario to appease as many people as possible. And all that'll turn into is a forum war, which who fucking cares, right? It'll be full of people like, I tried the server, it's fucking wank. And the other guy's going, I like it, and fighting that battle for some reason. I don't get the war, honestly. I don't get what you're trying to prove to either side, really. Trying to convince each other that one is better. It comes down to, I prefer this game over the other game. Great. Tremendous. I hope it works out well, is what I want to say. I'm genuinely happy it's happening. I'm genuinely happy it's happening. After reading and seeing, because I was an onlooker, watching what happened to Nost, watching what happened recently, and just knowing that those players are just like, I just want to play the game. That's all I want, is I just want to play the fucking game. That's all. I'm not asking for anything else. People are paying for this, and you're shitting on us because we're passionate about it. We were foolish enough to be passionate about something. And I hate that. I hate that more than anything, is abusing passionate people. Because it's so easy. It's so fucking easy to take people's passion and shit on them with it. And abuse them for it. And take their beliefs and happiness. And I can't stand it. So I hope everybody gets gets what they want. I think there'll be a war when it starts. I think it might... My prediction is that when it starts, it's going to get excruciatingly mixed feedback. And Blizzard's going to have to decide, do they stick to their guns or not? Or Blizzard's kind of going to decide beforehand, we know the problems that are going to occur, can we fix them? That's going to annoy the classic guys. Is there a middle ground? Not for some. There never is. There's no negotiation with some people. That's not the way it's going to go down. I personally believe that the classic server is what people wanted. It should just be the classic server as of the Naxxramas patch, where most of the bug fixes were in. They'd done what they could, and that'll allow people to just play through the game at their own pace. I think that's the ideal. That's the experience people asked for, who fought for this. That's what the people fought for. It's everybody else who's going to join in that could spoil it, potentially. And Blizzard might cater to those guys because they've done that in the past. So we'll wait and see on that one. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Good luck is what I'm saying to you. Good luck.